Okay, we go to last part of the chapter 3, the part 3, where we're going to discuss the robustness and security issue in CMS. Okay, area of security in CMS. This is just a list of discussion and maybe more. Okay, the first one is user administration and personalization, templating, element set of personalization, and a repository system. So user administration, how we allow user need to be created and assign various permission or privilege to them. So most of the time, super user have this responsibility to do all of this user management. And the second one is the personalization to restrict the content that someone sees as well as to direct them to the right content. Maybe there is, if you log into certain site of the CMS, only you have this privilege to view, not in public. Okay, this is there is a restriction based on the personalization. For example, if you part of the e-commerce users that have this online shop, okay, you want to upload items that you want to sell. Okay, only you can view that the process of uploading, not everyone. Okay, the third one is templating. Both input and output templates can house code that enforce whatever security policy you want. So you want to restrict a few pages inside your template for the super user or normal user. It's depend on your security policy that you want to implement. So element set personalization, you need to decide which author sees which element of which component. Okay, repository system, the database in your repository have their own security features. For example, all major database allow you to enforce username and password to control access to the data stored. And then many others implementation of security for the repository. Normally, only the technical staff do the management of the repository system. Okay, this is a Q&A about security-related issue in CMS. So we move to the issues of CMS. We have replication issues, robustness, backup, scalability, and reliability. So we want to discuss each one of these. So replication is a process of keeping a master version of content on or configuration and then making copies that are distributed to various location. Replicate means copy exactly the same thing. Okay, robustness discuss about the ability of computer system to cope with the error during the execution. It lacks robustness when we have lots of live issue for your CMS. Transaction issue that going to be discussed in the robustness as well. So the features of discussion of robustness is covered on how we going to backup the CMS, the scalability issue, and the reliability issue. So most of the discussion of IT product is related to these three things mainly. Even though it is not CMS, other things, of course, we have a scalability and reliability issue, and also the backup issue. Why all of these things? Because we need backup in case the current system have a failure, and we just need to pull back all of this backup to make replacement to the failure system. Okay. Backup, what we are going to discuss most of the time of the backup is about the disaster recovery. Like I said before, if the current system have a failure or not works very well, have maybe security issues injected by the hackers and everything. So you need to see the backup, the latest one that has stable and can be used to your CMS. So as you know, backup is make a copy. So files that may need to be backup is system files on the main CMS server, the files on the web server that hosts your web application. So any files on end user computers that have CMS configuration in them, such as files that configure the authoring environment, and maybe a few script that can run to make your system working and function very well. So that one also need to be backup. All right. So the scalability issues. Okay, scalability issues is uh, your CMS whether it can be scalable or not. So what is the meaning of scalable actually? We try to expanding. So expanding in terms of storage, in terms of traffic congestion, is everything need to be cooked. Okay, so that means you have a less of scalability issues. This is the same things of a cloud environment, where the cloud environment is very easy to extend the services or expanding the services. For example, in the first stage of your content development or CMS content, okay, maybe you have like 1,000 traffic per day, and then suddenly when your web information is being known by users, so the traffic is gain more traffic, and then it can be 10 times. So how do you want to cope this? So the cloud environment just expand the bandwidth allocation, the storage allocation for the cache data. That is we discussing about the scalability. So in specifically for CMS, okay, we have five scalability issues. And number one is serving more web pages in case, okay, or one author's post maybe a few pages per week, and then suddenly too many authors you you add for the content writer, and then your articles is expanding, lots of pages of your web is added within a short period of time. So if your server can handle this, so that is going to be scalable. Okay, number two, accommodating a lot of authors, like I said before, and we add a few content writers. Of course, more content writers, more web pages in your CMS, and then accommodating a lot of content. Okay, whether you want to attach a video that hosting on your own server, or maybe you attach a frame or API from uh, video purpose website like Vimeo or YouTube. And the fourth one is accommodating a lot of rules, okay, rules, regulation, scripting that filters um, for your CMS. And also the last one is accommodating a lot of site. So technically, uh, the bigger of your CMS, simply better, but all aspects need to be considered, especially the bandwidth or the traffic accessibility to your web server. So that is the scalability, and that means expanding, whether it is scalable or not. Okay. All right. I already discussed this. Okay. The last one for these issues is the reliability. So reliability is a measure of how much user can count on system to keep running without failure. Okay, this is happen when uh, it can be seasoning. Okay, it can be throughout 24 hours. So it's depend on your content. For example, uh, like you want to upload your assignment, and for example the due date is Thursday, before 11:59 p.m., like the thing that I use to your class. During that time, maybe lots of people, okay, come to the CMS website, the LMS I mean, for author, and then try to upload the assignment. So we have this bottleneck situation of the network, and the traffic is very congested. So if the transaction is failed, so that means the CMS, the website is not reliable. Okay, this is happen most of the time, like a website that have this due date. For example, if you want to apply to local university, this is the end period of application. Normally when you access the website is very slow. It is not because of the CMS itself is not reliable, and also the hardware itself. For example, the server and the memory of server, how the web server controlling the cache memory. So it's depend on the hardware and the infrastructure. So what uh, you need to do to overcome this issue? And for this CMS, you need to look at the collection system and management system and publication system. This is the three things that we already discussed before in the system administration for the CMS. Okay, as you know, whether it is CMS or not, as long as it is some sort of system, these three things should be considered for you and to do the administration of the web content. Okay, so this is you can read this Q&A about the collection system, management system, and publication system. I already discussed this before. Okay, and then I give you an example of Joomla versus WordPress. Okay, even though there's a lot of CMS out there, but this is the top notch before this. Okay, right now we have this headless CMS where everything is done by a cloud server. It's not done locally. Now we have this push and pull setup of your CMS. So for the security issue, we have audit trail, we have captcha. Okay, captcha means you need to have this plugin where, for example, we have this graphical confirmation before we can access to the system. Okay, and then we have Recabero's authentication, a network authentication protocol that designed to provide strong authentication for client-server application by using secret key cryptography. Or this is as depend whether it is 128-bit or new enforcement of the cryptography algorithm for the security. And then we have a login history. I have both of them, Joomla and WordPress. And then we have several discussion on Joomla and WordPress security implementation. For example, content approval, email verification, granular privilege, LDAP authentication, pluggable authentication, session management, SSL, secure socket layer protocol that being imposed maybe for each pages or each module is depend, and we have a sandbox. So all of this thing is being implemented in CMS, such Joomla and WordPress. This is just for example. Okay, others CMS have their own security measure. It's depend on the implementation. So in e-commerce, especially in e-commerce, we have this problem of online payment system. Okay, you can see the video. of these online payment system issues and e-commerce. And online payment system or payment gateway, okay, payment gateway, you can use a various type. If you use a credit card transaction, we have this module or plugin or payment gateway that accept this. It must be secured and prove to be secured, because there's a lot of hackers, scammers, spammers to try to dig and try to get your payment information. And then you need to know how the credit card transaction process. And remember, when you take a course web application, maybe your lecturer already told you how the credit card itself being processed. Whether it is manual or online is basically the same. On the information is being transaction by wire, from the terminal to the bank, to the Visa or MasterCard or any other credit card provider. So this is an example of transaction in e-commerce. We have 5 stages. This is one of the example. Okay, and the first one is a buyer. Okay, go to the website or the CMS, or for example, shopping cart. Okay, and then we have a certification authority, and then we have a buyer's information, and then put a shopping cart, and then we have a plugin for the anti-fraud, and then we have a payment gateway. So payment gateway will process your payment. So this is the part, okay, up to stage 3. This is your CMS, okay, from website and the front end that communicate with your server, and the buyer's information is inside your CMS shopping cart, of course, inside your web server, your CMS, and then payment gateway. All of this information from your web server need to be transferred to a payment gateway and do the process. And then we have maps or any body or regulator that can do the transaction on behalf of bank and seller. And then bank do the confirmation after maps sending information to the bank, and the payment is confirmed, so the transaction complete. So once the transaction complete, okay, it's actually we have another cycle. Okay, we have another cycle where the transaction information need to be transferred back to your CMS, to your web page, and then do the confirmation to the buyer, and then give the process of sending the item, whether it is digital or physical, is depend on what is inside the CMS. Okay, that is the basic transaction. What you need to know is we have 4 stages. We have 5 stages. Okay, but the most critical part is 4 stages. Okay, the first one, buyer, is the front end, where me as a buyer, you as a buyer, open the website and do the buying process through online, and then send the information to the shopping cart, and then send the information to the payment gateway, confirmation of the process of transaction, and then confirmation of the bank, and then back to your CMS, and then confirm back to the buyer for the shipping or information of the selling and buying process. Okay. I guess that's all for chapter 3. All right. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.